Good morning, sir. This is Manichandana from CSC. I have a question, sir. Is looting public money the purpose of government? Sir, actually, what is the purpose of government, sir? Taking money.
What is the role of government?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, is looting public money the purpose of government? I couldn't get your name.
Manichandana.
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 Manichandana. I feel so sad that Manichandana or somebody else had to even think like this, that government is looting our money. It's a sad thing, it's a fact. That's the perception of many people, which for good reason. And I understand. But even otherwise, they are looting. They're not, when you're not providing a service in return, it is a loot, right?
Yes, sir.
One of the first great freedom fighters of India, Dadabhai Nauroji, he said, taxation becomes constitutional brigandage. He used the expression constitutional brigandage. If you're not getting something in return for the taxes. If the king collects taxes as a matter of right without providing services to you in return, it is looting. And unfortunately, if not wholly, to some extent, Indian governments across the board are behaving like that. I collect the taxes, I will not give you anything in return. So, in that sense, it's a loot.
Another example, sir. Municipal tax I am paying. There, how to give me that drainage and sewage services? Why are we paying municipal tax?
You're absolutely. I'm glad. Keep asking these questions systematically and find answers and fight. That's all I've asked. And people like me can provide you more data and more logic, because what you say is true, but there's a lot more to the truth. So if you get a deeper understanding of the truth and use that power of knowledge, then change will happen. I agree with you. But let me give you some perspectives. 2-3 perspectives. Because if I give a skewed perspective, that's not good either for the country. First of all, our tax GDP ratio is very low. If we take taxation as a share of the total wealth of the country, we are at about 18-19%. We are low because we are poor. Generally, poor countries, the taxation share is lower. As they become richer, they get a higher share because you can afford to give more. After all, in a poor country, what happens? A poor family spends most of the money only on roti, kapda, makan. So where is the government? How can the government take away more money? Then people will starve. It used to happen in the olden days. Medieval India, I take away 50% of your crop or something, you go starve if you like. But you can't do it in a modern society. You must understand. So when you say looting, while governments indeed are performing very badly in India, they are corrupt, they are dysfunctional, if you take the totality of taxes, it's not very high. And that's the way it should be. The conclusion should not be, therefore the taxes should be higher. For our level of economic development, this is about right. We must increase the cake and then government can get the share, provided government serves you better. That is the second part of the equation. And even with the money that we are paying the government, they are serving us very badly. In 3 ways. First is bad allocation. Because government doesn't understand its purpose, the money is going into areas which are not their primary task. The second is inefficient. Even if the allocation is okay, it's done inefficiently, mindlessly. Third is phenomenal corruption, leakage. All 3 we are having in India. I can go into any sector and give you concrete and detailed examples that will take, each of these questions, if you go into depth, you can spend hours and hours. A whole course can be on these questions. I can guarantee you. But that's not our purpose. Just to give a glimpse so that you can start learning how to think. This is not about transferring knowledge. It's about removing the cobwebs of the mind. Starting to, at least beginning to think. Okay? So all these happen. Now, what is the way out? We can go into many more details. What is the way out? I told you allocation. Is it the right allocation? That means first we must understand what is the purpose of government. In our country, we have no clue. Neither the people nor those in government. Those in government think that we are now the gods. We are now the kings. Somehow the vote gives us the right to become kings. But basically we are now the kings. We can do pretty much what we want. The people think these are all rascals and chore. But my bap. They are still the kings, except they come through the vote. After that, I ask them to do everything. Who does what, I don't know. Where what should happen. So, we're all together part of the mess. I'll take only a minute. Later on, you can see some of my videos, other things, where I went into greater detail, if you're interested. You need a government. Wherever you are on planet Earth, you need some structure, because the moment people who do not know each other, not members of the same family, there are no blood ties, we live together, work together, there must be a framework for our behavior. In a family, each one loves the other, you don't require extra rules, because even if sometimes we behave foolishly, ultimately the bonds of love and common purpose hold us to account. But when we don't know each other, there are no blood ties, if each of us behaves as we please, we all become beasts. So in order for us to behave as civilized human beings in a harmonious society, to protect everybody fairly, rule of law, defense, we require the government. That is obvious. Even the foolish kings did that. Even tyrannical kings did that. Nothing new about it. We are doing it badly. There's a lot more to it. The next level, if that only we do, it becomes like a 2,000-year-old empire. Basic infrastructure and common amenities, which we individually cannot provide for ourselves. Have the definition clearly. Don't simply go by the laundry list. The first is a framework for our collective coexistence. The second is what we cannot fulfill individually. We need it. We only can do collectively. There must be a collective entity. There is no way each of us can provide water supply for ourselves. No way each of us can build a road for ourselves, or a port, or something else. Or electricity. Right? We are all trying. Mosquito control, we all shut the doors, we all have this mesh, and we all have the all out or all night or whatever. Water supply, we all have our own water harvesting, our own borewell. Power, we all have our own UPS or something. This is inefficient, because we have already agreed that the government has failed. But that's not the way a good system should be organized. And other amenities, anyway, they don't provide, therefore I have a gated community. So we are seceding from the country. Those who can afford, we are basically seceding from the country, creating our own small enclave. That is acknowledging failure of the government. But that's not a very effective way. It's very inefficient. You don't get optimal results. For the colony, it appears optimal. For the country, it is suboptimal. Again, I don't want to go into details. Apart from being, why the hell is the government? The question that, what's your name? Manichandran asked, then why are you looting money if you don't provide anything? Apart from that moral question, even economically, it is suboptimal. You spend more to get less. That's not wise. So, purpose of government. And then, after these infrastructure needs are met, there is heavy rainfall, stormwater drainage, which individual can provide? The state has to provide. Sewerage, we have to pay. Even if you pay, the basic system has to be built by somebody. The drainage system, the sewerage system, water supply, etc. or electricity. But that's not enough. In the modern era, last 100, 200 years, we went further. Education as industry, technology, higher production is possible now without merely human muscle power or the animal draft power. That's what industrial revolution is about. You require the ability to think, the skills. Therefore, education. The states providing education without a burden on the parents, at least school education. Otherwise, generation after generation, the poor will remain poor, unskilled. The rich will always get the benefit. Then how are we a modern society? Not only is it immoral, it's also dysfunctional, because if the bulk of the people are unskilled, economy is going to be dragged down. That's what's happening in India today. When too many people are unskilled, or illiterate, or half-literate, or half-baked, then all of us drag ourselves down. So not only is it a moral issue, it's an economic issue. Similarly, healthcare. Healthcare is the biggest cause of impoverishment in our country, for instance. 5.5 crore people are becoming poor in India every year. They are descending into poverty because of ill health. Healthcare is the biggest, health failure is the biggest cause of low productivity. Therefore, it's not merely a moral issue of somebody is suffering, why should you not get treatment? It's also an economic issue, the national issue. We need it. for ourselves. So these are the basic roles of the government. Some of them government will ask you to pay. The road toll may be there, electricity tariff has to be there, water supply metering must be there, but the basic provisioning must be by a collective entity. So that is the first part. First, understanding the role of the government. Instead, what are we doing? I built a factory, modern bread, to make bread. Why should we require government to make bread? Tomorrow government will make dosha also, or uttapam also, or pizza. Why do you require government to do that? I have plenty of options. Or watches. I wore 35 years HMT watch. Ultimately, my watch repairer said, sir, that company is closed down, they are no longer manufacturing, there are no spare parts. Please, sir, stop that. Then my son gave me this watch, which is very similar to that watch, because I am nostalgic. Very similar frame and all that, very relatively low cost. Still, it's very high cost for me. I believe it costs 4,000 or 5,000. For me, the heart is breaking. My God, 5,000 rupees watch. But it's not the government's business to make a watch. 20 lakh crores in this country we put into public sector undertakings. In the last 5-6 years, 6 lakh crores we put into banks alone because they all messed up. And some of these banks, their capital today, their market value is less than the money we put in the last 5-6 years. So misallocation. The second is inefficiency. We all discussed it. What is engineering? How do you produce the most outcome with the least input? That is good engineering. That's good administration. We failed. Third is monumental corruption. How do you address them? There are many ways. You must address corruption, you must have service guarantee law, you must have accountability systems, you must punish, etc. But a simple thing, the question that your principal raised. What happens in my apartment complex? I pay every month maintenance fee. That's a tax. I don't pay to some big distant government. I pay to a small local, you call it government, a collective entity called the Apartment Welfare Association. We all have elected a man called Mohit Bhalla, the real name, because we have trust, we have faith in him. He is competent. We trust him. He is taking care of that. Now, I know why I am paying this money. My lift must operate well. I must get regular water supply to my house, municipal water supply or the borewell water supply. The parking must be properly done. And watch and ward must be there. Everybody, Tom, Dick and Harry cannot come to my house and invade my privacy. Right? I mean, there are some basic things. Supposing the lift does not function, what do I do? Will I keep quiet? I'll pick up the phone and say, Mohit bhai, kya ho raha hai? He'll say, Saab, no, I'll get it done by tomorrow or something. So what's happening? There is a complete understanding of where my money is going. And if it's not benefiting me, I know that I am being shortchanged. If Mohit Bhalla is doing a good job, I know he's doing a great job, I respect him, I need him. Then democracy works. The more distant it is, the more disconnected your taxes and the services is received. The vote you give and the consequences to your life, the more disconnected they are, it will be mediated by money for the vote, mediated by freebies, my Yoduga, JP Saab, every month I'll pay you 100 rupees instead of providing you the lift service or the water supply. That's what's happening in the country. If Mohit Bhalla does it in my apartment complex, I'll beat him up because I know with my money, you want to give me 100 rupees instead of repairing my lift and getting me water supply. But the citizen is not asking that because citizen has given up. He doesn't know who does what. So KCR comes and says this, some other person comes and says this. First they give money, that's why 93% voted yesterday. They became such wonderful citizens that they love our democracy. They all wanted to vote. Is it because they love the country? And money is not enough, so what is that they're offering or what is they saying? I am giving you this, I am giving you this. With our money, they give short-term freebies without doing their actual job, impoverishing me further. I am not allowed to understand that. Once that happens, the loot is inevitable. So the fight should not be about taxation. It's about utilization and building an institutional mechanism to make delivery happen. These are not our enemies. KCR and Modi are not our enemies. They are part of the vicious cycle. They bhi phas gaye. They are also trapped in that. So are there ways to get us out of this morass? That's the way you should think. I'm glad you asked the right question. But don't make it them versus us. They are not different. They are us. We are them. And they are not evil. We are not angels. We are all part of this together. We messed up. Now, how do we come out of the mess? There are some of us more thoughtful people. People whose word has greater value, who have some influence or some position of power. Can we reimagine, rethink, re-alter the incentives, as the economists call, and therefore change the behavior, and therefore change the outcomes? It's not rocket science. It's not impossible. That's what every civilized country does. We are doing it on occasion okay, on occasion badly, but we are still stumbling. Okay? My whole life's work is that.